announced The Great War Western Front, a tactical strategy game about the First World War. Developers from Petroglyph Games, together with the Frontier Foundry publishing house, announced The Great War Western Front, a tactical strategy game about the First World War. The game takes place on the Western Front between 1914 and 1918. The gamer will have to command armies in real-time battles, determining the general tactics of war in a turn-based strategy mode. Among the gameplay activities here, we should note the typical things for strategy: the research of new types of weapons, the construction of fortified areas, the command of armies, and the adoption of key decisions, the consequences of which can seriously affect the outcome of hostilities. According to the authors, The Great War Western Front will be able to provide an unprecedented level of strategic depth, which is provided by the introduction of two global positions for the player: the commander of the theater of military operations and the frontline commander. As the commander of the theater of operations, the player will get an exciting turn-based strategy game in which he will manage the deployment of troops, explore technologies, and carefully consider the distribution of invaluable resources throughout the Western Front. As a frontline commander, players will command units and subunits in dynamic real-time battles. Here you will even have to dig trenches and storm enemy fortifications. Other features of The Great War Western Front. The game remembers the state of battlefields. As you move along the Western Front, you will return to the places of former battles, which still retain the scars and destruction received as a result of previous clashes. A lot of small details that will help you feel the atmosphere of a real war. After artillery attacks, craters remain. The once calm rural landscapes of France will be covered with trenches and traces of tanks and fire, and trenches and fortifications remain where the player built them. Weather impact on combat battles. During a prolonged conflict, the player may encounter snow and rain. Different weather conditions affect the effectiveness of artillery and the speed of movement of troops. To win, you will need to think through a strategy that takes into account all the conditions. Historical accuracy. The game was developed in collaboration with the Imperial War Museum in London. The knowledge of the museum staff helped the developers to accurately reflect this turning point in history. The main participants in the conflict are the Entente and the Central Powers. Both sides have unique features and offer their own style of play. 4 modes: Story Campaign, Historical Battles, Battle Editor, and Classic Multiplayer. Each campaign will be unique. Every decision you make, even the most insignificant, can affect the outcome of the war. Introduce new military technologies ahead of time, if you manage to explore them faster. In your hands is the opportunity to change the course of the war and the whole story, says the official description of the game. Military strategy game The Great War Western Front will go on sale on PC in 2023. The developers promise that the game will receive a translation into Russian, subtitles, and even voice acting. For more details, please refer to the official project page on Steam.